Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I just wanted to let you know before we get started on tonight's story that tonight's story is written by the ever-famous author, Christopher Maxim. Christopher Maxim has been known to write many different stories that have become pretty big on the channel over the years, and if you'd like to get more from Christopher Maxim, you can find his full list of Amazon books in the description down below. As well as, if you'd like to support Chris Maxim in any way, you can find the links there in the description as well. And now, on to tonight's story. Room 371. Some hotel near the Cape. I was on a business trip with my boss, closing in on the final set of investors that we needed to launch our latest startup. That's all I can remember, and then this. Waking up in a bedroom next to an unfamiliar woman with a literal set of credits appearing and disappearing in front of me, suspended in the air. How very strange. What was that? What was that? It was a laugh reel. A studio audience. Wait. Is my inner dialogue not so inner after all? Just then, the woman to my right woke up and placed her arm over my chest. Hey, hon. How'd you sleep? This was a dream, right? It had to be. I fell asleep in my hotel room and some program on TV was just leaking in. It was creating this setting. I just don't remember going to bed. I never sleep with the TV on, not even at home. Not so good, hun. Aw, what's the matter? Wake up on the wrong side of the bed? No, not really. It feels like I woke up in the wrong bed altogether. The scene faded and reconstructed into a dining room where I was now seated with my dream wife. We were eating omelets. I now have the Sunday paper in my hand, though I can't make out a single image or word. It's a jumbled mess of black and white lines. No text at all, from what I could tell. The unfamiliar woman spoke up. You know, Hank, I interjected. Hank? Who's Hank? Very funny. As I was saying, I really don't appreciate being ignored when we're at the table. You're always buried in that damn paper. Would it kill you to look at me every once in a while, ask me how I'm doing for a change? I'm your wife, for crying out loud. You mean this paper? I gestured toward the messy collection of illegible markings in front of me. It's nothing but black lines. I'm not reading anything. Are you kidding me? You've been sitting there with a fake paper just to avoid talking to your own wife? I cook the meals, clean the house, walk the damn dog. We have a dog? All I ask is for some appreciation. Anything to let me know I mean something to you. Look, hon. Don't you look, hon, me. Gosh, you make me so angry. I could just... She picked up her fork and walked over to me. A look of pure rage painted on her face. She then lifted the fork back and plunged it down into my hand, the one holding the paper, effectively pinning it to the table. Try lifting your precious paper to read it now. The pain is immense. A shockwave resonated throughout my entire body. Then there was the blood, oozing out of the holes in my hand, forming a dark red pool that dripped off the table and onto my lap. This is no dream. This is no dream. It was all too real. My sitcom wife was still seeing red. She raced into the kitchen and came back with a cleaver in hand. All the while, I screamed and sobbed over the damage my hand had sustained. I quickly pulled the fork out, tossed it at her, and bolted upstairs. Before she could get to me, the scene faded again. Next thing I knew, I was locked in a bathroom. The sound of thunderous banging came from the other side of the door. Hank, sweetie, you can't stay in there all day. I searched for a way out. But there was no windows. Think, Jack, think. Without warning, an axe crashed through the wood of the door, an unhinged expression of an angered woman visible through the shrapnel. Here's Janie. Oh, Janie, so that's your name. It's lovely to meet you. I'm Jack. Nice try, Hank. No more psychological warfare. I've had enough of your head games to last a lifetime. We end this now, once and for all. I expected more audience reactions, but there was none. From this point forward, they were silent. Nothing but the unsettling sound of the metal meeting wood as Janie tore through the door to get to me. As I looked around at the cheap Hollywood wallpaper, something hit me. It didn't look quite right, quite real, in fact. Is this a set? I wondered. I jabbed one of the walls and my hand went clean through it. Oh, I'll be damned. Without a moment's hesitation, I burst out of there and walked off set, right past the studio audience and camera crew. The exit was in view. A black door with a large sign illuminated above it. Leave if you dare, Jack. Just as I was to close a gap, a man appeared before me, clean cut, mid-50s, maybe gray hair, gray mustache. He was grinning from ear to ear. Not so fast, Jack. Did you think it would be that easy? Who the hell are you? He let out a slight grunt, clearly insulted by my query. You are in no position to ask questions, but if you must know, you're in my room. Your room? I asked, completely confused. Think, Jack. Room 371. The hotel? Ringing any bells? Some memories flashed in my mind. My boss and I were at a hotel, of which I now remembered the name. It was the Covenwood Inn, and this man standing before me, he was there too. I walked by him on the way to my room. He tipped his hat, he mumbled something to me. What was it? Enjoy your stay, perhaps. You were there, at the hotel. Now you're getting it, Jack. I'm always there. Anything else come to mind? I remember the door, and the number 371, affixed to the plaque, but I couldn't recall entering it or what happened next. Something else happened, but the memories are just too out of reach. It'll come to you, Jack. For now, there's no escaping. You are my prisoner. With that, the man vanished. So too did the exit. I swung around to make a run to the opposite direction, but it was too late. The studio audience was no longer seated. They had me surrounded, and the film crew now had their cameras pointed at me as the director yelled out overhead, "And action!" The audience closed in on me with mouths wide open, their laughter echoing through the building, their eyes glazed over, their arms resting at their sides as they marched at me. It was a sickening sight, and then, just as I thought it was a goner, the scene faded, transitioning me to another location. I felt myself drifting as the view grew dimmer, collapsing into unconsciousness. I attempted to fight it, but it was no use. Whatever was putting me under had a vicious hold over me. As I slipped away, I heard the man's voice ringing in my ears. Wake up, Jack. My eyes opened, and the transition was complete. I woke at home, in bed, next to my real wife, Charlotte. She rolled over and gently caressed her arm across my chest. How'd you sleep, hon? I smiled, captivated by her as the sun washed over our room. Just fine. Thank God it was all a dream. We got out of bed and went downstairs to the dining room table. I whipped up some of my famous French toast. We ate and then talked for hours. It was a perfect day. I hoped it would never end. Unfortunately for me, nothing lasts forever. Hey, I want to show you something. Wait right there. Charlotte left the room and went upstairs. A few minutes later, she came back downstairs and plopped a dead body down in front of me. It was Leslie, our daughter. I stood up, and I backed away. Charlotte, what are you doing? Leslie's dead, Jack. Laughter? That could only mean... Oh no. Oh no, I didn't wake up. I'm still here. The walls came crashing down around me. The floodgates opened, and I remember Leslie was in fact dead. She had died just a few months previous. Our beautiful daughter was ripped away from us, and it was all my fault. You did this, Jack. You and your damn job. How hard is it for a father to pick up his own daughter from school? How could you have been so sidetracked? It was true. I was always wrapped up in work. On the day in question, I was on an important phone call and lost track of time. Charlotte was at her job, and I was supposed to pick up Leslie. She wound up walking home and was struck by a car before even reaching the halfway point. She was dead on impact. My little girl. Struck like a common animal on the side of the road. Leslie's corpse sat up and stared at me. How could you forget me, Daddy? Her cold, dead fingers reached for my neck and started squeezing the air from my lungs. I pushed her away, and her body turned to ash as it hit the floor, leaving just me and Charlotte. I wasn't any safer. Charlotte pulled a knife out from under her back and took a swing, grazing my cheek. Charlotte, put the knife down, please. I can't, Jack. I blame you. I have all this anger and sadness and nothing to do with it. It's all because of you. I can't take it anymore, Jack. I just can't. A flood of tears rolled down her face as she began hysterically crying. She swung again, and I grabbed her arm. Charlotte, please, I love you. We can get through this. I'll find you some help, and we'll... Somewhere in the struggle, without realizing it, I'd inadvertently pushed the blade into her stomach. The blood poured out faster than her tears had. Charlotte fell to her knees and then collapsed on the floor. The life quickly left her eyes as she offered me a final sentiment. I'll see her, Jack. I'll finally see our daughter again. And that was it. She died. Aside from the reanimated corpse, that's how it all actually happened. Charlotte blamed me, wanted to see me pay for our daughter's death, and in a way, I guess I did. After that, I was alone. Utterly and hopelessly alone. With the memory of killing my family. The scene faded one last time, revealing room 371 at the Coven Inn. The clean-cut man standing before me, another smile on his face. Well, Jack, do you remember now? I did remember. There was no business trip. That was more likely just a fabrication of my brain to make sense of why I was there in the first place. In actuality, I was at the hotel to kill myself. Yes, I think I do. Take a minute, Jack. Do you remember how we met? I met him in the hallway on the way to my room. He said he could bring them back. New things about our life that no one should possibly know. All I had to do was cross the threshold into room 371 and it would be done. I was a drunk mess, but how could I turn him down? He did warn me there would be a terrible price to pay, but I didn't care. I was ready to end my life after all. I agreed, and we went our separate ways. The last thing he said was, enjoy your stay. I do. I remember everything, but what just happened here? Was any of that real? He pointed down at my hand, which I had just then noticed was hurting. I saw the 4 puncture wounds from where Janie's fork scratched me. It was very real, Jack. You struck a deal and held up your end of the bargain. By entering the room, you agreed to my terms and gave me something I needed. Now I'll bring your precious family back to you as promised. I still didn't quite understand, and he could tell. It wasn't chance that our paths crossed, Jack. This is my room. It's where I make all of my deals. It draws in those with the deepest of despair, compelling them to take their lives within, and that's where I come in. I save you, in a sense. Saved me. Is that what he called it? You, Jack, a man with nothing to live for, have just signed away your life to me. What you just experienced is a down payment. I wiped your memory, made you relive your worst experience as though it were happening for the first time. In my fun little way, of course. You see, this room is my own personal torture chamber. It's where I pull apart souls through physical and psychological torment. With every wound endured, small bits of the soul's aura fall off and are absorbed by yours truly, the little pieces that make up who you are. By the time I'm done, what's left is no longer human. I'm revitalized. That's what keeps me young. So that's it? You're done, right? It's all over. The man laughed. No, Jack. That was just a down payment. At some point in the near future, I'll show up to collect. Then you and your family will live here for what will feel like an eternity. This will be your new home. My heart sank when I realized what he was saying. Wait a minute, what do you mean, my family? You want them back? And you'll get them. For a while. Then you're all mine. That's the price. When I have all three of you, I'm sure I'll think of even more creative ways to poke and prod you. I bet you wish life was as simple as some sitcom right about now, don't you, Jack? My breathing became labored and sporadic, and my heart began pounding out of my chest. What have I done? Calm down, Jack. Go home and enjoy your family while you still can. The man, or whatever he was, took his leave and walked out of the hotel room, but not before turning back and shooting me one last terrible grin. See you soon, Jack. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Hey there, kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I wanted to tell you thank you so much for watching tonight's video or listening to the podcast episode on tonight's podcast episode. You can always find the podcast at Spotify or on Google or wherever you happen to find podcasts. And if you want to hear even more from me, you can always check me out on my audiobooks. If you take a look on Audible, you can listen to Tales from the Gas Stations Volume 1, 2, and now 3 on Audible, as well as many other audiobooks that I've worked on. And I want to give a very special thank you to all of you who support me on Patreon, because quite honestly, you guys help me keep the lights on in my house, and I can't thank you enough for that. A very special thank you to Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Canon Lando Higuchi, Chompski, Bobby Karman, Nico kaeo, Tristain Pelton, Chase Burnett, Deanna Kraus, G. Weevil 3, Chris Lovin, Freddie Krueger, Dr. Stein and Mr. Happy, Miranda Jeffries, Hugungshi, Justin Johnson, Raven Hart, Unknown Nobody, Michael Scharbrough, Kazan, ThisIsMyRealNameNoShit, Jason V.B. Wilson, InfernalOne, JimboTheHutt, Caspian, Jordan Nells, Hades' Nephew, Jordan Wayne Deckard, Acid System, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation Society, Cryptic Nightmares, Someone You Love, S-Man, Kiri the Sloth, Liam Newman, Sky Harbor, Caleb Dougal, Nina Smith, Raphael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, Aaron Stormcrow, Daniel Polson, and Corey Kenshin. Thank you guys so much. Like, seriously, thank you guys so much. And if you would like to be able to join them, you always can at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. I love you guys, seriously. All of you who support on Patreon, who follow, who subscribe, those of you who listen, and those of you who lurk. Thank you for the amazing 10 years. And sweet dreams.